Okay, different video format. I get that, but so this is what I heard about that I woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning in my time just to see that hey, Gab is having their hosting service terminated. That Joyent, which is apparently owned by Samsung, after this shooting decided that they didn't want to give a platform to Gab. And as far as I can tell, I didn't read the whole email that was sent out because Gab just posted a screenshot of one part, that they have until 9 a.m. on Monday to find a new service. And they've apparently breached the terms of service, but it doesn't say why. I assume it has something to do with a hate speech thing, which the fact that social media organizations have some kind of very vague like hate speech clause in there for terms of service is absolutely frustrating and ridiculous. But yeah, apparently it has to do with this shooting, which I mean, I know there's an obvious double standard in that I mean I know Facebook and Twitter and all these big platforms, they probably host their own stuff. They don't have a hosting provider. They are their own hosting provider. So they can't exactly be taken down because they are their own stuff. They have all their own stuff. But I didn't see people getting up in arms. I didn't see people getting angry about the fact that, what was it, Steve Scalise, the Vegas shooter, he had like a Facebook account. Most violent criminals, most shooters and like radical Nazi fascist people and alt-right people and violent criminals and pedophiles and all these terrible people, they all have, not all of them, but most of them have Facebook accounts. Like radical jihadists, they have Facebook accounts. They have Twitter accounts. They have all these different social media. They probably have Instagram accounts and Snapchat accounts and that. They probably have all these accounts, and nobody ever seems to get mad at Facebook or Twitter because they're apparently giving a platform to these views. Like Twitter had that, or not Twitter, sorry, YouTube had that whole scandal for apparently hosting like pedophilia videos that we didn't even know were pedophilia videos until that came out. Like they hosted all kinds of crazy stuff. And the thing is, I don't blame them. I don't blame them for hosting some of that stuff. I mean, obviously the criminal stuff, sure, take it down. But I don't blame them because they're a publisher. And it's hard to have an algorithm that can sort through all that stuff. And it's hard to, even the stuff like the hate speech stuff. I don't want them to have an algorithm that blocks that stuff because they are a publisher. They do not, they are a platform, not a publisher. They do not endorse any of the stuff posted on there. They don't vent the stuff, or they don't filter through the stuff and see, okay, we want this, we don't want that. Or at least they do now because of hate speech stuff. But their whole purpose is just to allow other people to post things through them. That is what it is. They are not endorsing any of this stuff unless they specifically say on the very few posts that they might actually endorse stuff on. Like, obviously they endorse what Zuckerberg says, I imagine, because he's part of the company. He's the CEO. But for the most part, the vast majority of stuff on social media, the company does not actually endorse. Imagine if they went through and endorsed all this stuff. But now people are somehow blaming Gab and saying that Gab has blood on its hands because this guy had a Gab account. Like, imagine blaming Facebook for the Vegas shooting because the guy had a Facebook account. I'm waving my hands in anger here because this frustrates me so much. And I hate to get angry. Be wanting to do a rant because that's what this video wasn't supposed to be, but I haven't calmed down in like 3 hours. I've just been brooding because I've been processing it, and usually that's what I do. I see something, I get angry, I give it a few hours, I really put my thoughts together, and then I do a video on it. Or in this case, I'm just doing an audio on it. But it's annoying, it's frustrating, because normally I can understand the people's point of views. I usually I try to go through and say this is what the actual people believe. I try not to assume negativity, or try not to like say the other person's an awful person unless I have explicit like proof that says yes they are, like of them of knowingly being awful. But all these people going after Gab, saying like Gab has blood on their hands. There's two options here. There's two reasonings behind what they could be. Either they actually believe that. Either they actually believe that somehow Gab has blood on his hands, that somehow this guy would not have been radicalized if it were not for Gab, that somehow allowing him to vent on social media, where there are all kinds of other people, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of other people that are not far right, can see that, can comment on it, they're exposing him to the world, and therefore exposing other views to him. Like, he is seeing other views by using Gab, because there are all kinds of people on Gab. Obviously, there are more far-right, like neo-Nazi people on Gab than other social media platforms, because Gab says You can post whatever you want, and we will not take it down unless you call for violence. That's what their rule, and I appreciate that rule. I respect that rule. They have a rule. You can say whatever you want as long as you don't call for violence, and that's great. Like, that is so great. Because imagine, this guy, I don't know if this guy ever had a Twitter account, but honestly, he probably did before he got a Gab account. He probably got a Twitter account and was probably banned. And you know what he did? He said, like, this guy seems to think that everyone, including Trump, is controlled by Jews. So imagine when he got banned on Twitter, if anything, that probably contributed to his radicalization, because he said, I was banned on Twitter for saying things. They must not like what I had to say. They must be controlled by Jews, something like that. I don't imagine that when they banned him from other social media, if they did, again, I'm making an assumption, but they probably did. I don't think what happened was that they looked at, this guy was banned and he thought, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Jewish people aren't bad. Maybe they're great people. Maybe I was wrong and that's why I was banned. Maybe I should, this is a political awakening for me. I have to rethink my ways. No, you know what he did? He said he probably thought, I was banned. It was probably the Jews. I'm probably even more right because I was banned for wrong think. Now I'm going to go and radicalize myself even further. No, Gab, if anything, has done good because they are allowing these people to be to have a social media platform where they're exposed to other views and people can rightfully point out how stupid they are. And where these people will be exposed and they will not be like pushed into their echo chamber further. Gab, so far, they did what every social media company does after something tragic happens. They find the guy's account, they lock it down, they send it to the FBI, the Department of Justice, whatever they have to. They cooperate fully with the law, which is great. Gab has done nothing wrong here so far. And I know there will probably be people that are listening to this that think I somehow endorse like Nazism or something, because I think this guy should have been allowed to have a platform, or should have been in the sense like if Gab wanted to give him a platform, then sure. And yeah, like, you know how you make extremists even more radicalized? You cut them off from the mainstream. You cut them off from society. And there are some people that there's no convincing them. And like, obviously, I'm not against boycotts. I'm not against like ostracizing bad people. And this guy was no doubt a bad person. But Gab has done nothing wrong here. Absolutely nothing. If anything, they have actually helped him by allowing him to vent and, like I said, exposed him to other views, so he's not entirely stuck in an echo chamber, because without Gab, he'd still be in an echo chamber. He'd be talking with, I imagine, if this guy has any friends, he would be, if this guy actually does have any friends, they're probably all, like, radical neo-Nazis as well. I don't know if this guy's actually a Nazi, but he's incredibly anti-Semitic, so I'm going to say he probably is. And it seems to me that, like, he is a legit white supremacist. But yeah, the thing is, like, he was anti-Trump. He thought Trump was controlled by the Jews. So you have to remember that it's not like he was radicalized by the mainstream. He wasn't radicalized by the right. This guy was a nutcase. This guy was a lunatic that was completely, like, this guy was on the furthest possible edge. This was the literally everyone I disagree with is controlled by Jews kind of thing. Even the people I agree with is controlled by Jews, according to him. This guy was totally off the deep end. Probably no coming back. But like, what has Gab done wrong? What has Gab done wrong? It bugs me that people are blaming Gab for this. And the fact that Joyent decided to terminate their service. And so did PayPal, too. PayPal did, too. They terminated their service. And they didn't say why. They just said breach in terms of service. But it was right after the shooting. And it's like, why? What has Gab done? He's done nothing wrong. And it just bugs me, the mindset of these people. Either they think Gab has actually done something wrong, or they're exploiting a shooting for their own benefit. And I do think there are people, like, again, I can't assume motive, but I can't say it's either one of those. Like, there's no third option there. Either they know Gab has done nothing wrong, but they're like, hey, a bunch of people died, maybe I'll use it to take down a free speech platform, which is just, like, that's, that I don't have a horrible word enough to say about that. But it's frustrating. It's annoying. Honestly, like, if you have a Gab account, I guess keep using it. Follow Gab. See what you can do to help if you're interested in helping. I don't know if they're going to do a crowdfunding thing. I know they just got, I believe it was them that just got a ton of money. They were from an investment organization. They just invested a ton of money in Gab. So hopefully maybe Gab can start up their own hosting platform. Maybe they can host themselves, because that seems to be what we're missing now. Like, an organization, a free speech organization that will host their own stuff. or that is able to host other people, like a hosting platform. And or I don't know what it takes. Like, I don't know how much it costs. It's probably, for Gab, it's probably millions and millions of dollars. Because if it was affordable, they would have done it by now. But no, it's annoying. There's just so much I'm thinking of right now, and how I hate to do just totally emotional stuff like this, but it's frustrating. It is incredibly frustrating how corrupt people can be, and just how stupid people can be. Because the people jumping on this and saying, "Oh yeah, Gav has blood on its hands," either like they can't say that seriously. They can't say that with any sort of integrity, with any sort of like defending Jewish people or defending anyone. They're not doing anything to help. They're making it so much worse. And that, in my opinion, that seems to be the worst kind of person, is the person that means well, but that's it. Like, they're like, oh, I care, and then that's it. They don't actually show that they care. They don't do any research. They don't do any actual action to show that they care. They just get angry and post online, or they get angry and they support stuff and vote for things and all that. It's like, this is what bothers me about certain, not to get kind of off topic, but like, to give a good example, like the environmentalists, where obviously not all, many of them are good people. I'm not an environmentalist, but I care about the environment, which is probably the position of the vast majority of people. Like, there aren't too many people that don't care about the environment at all. It's like, all these people complaining about, oh, like the environment. They're like, we need to save the environment. We need to help the environment. Like, that's their whole thing. We need to save the environment. We need to stop global warming. And then what they do is they go out and they advocate for raising taxes and like carbon taxes and all that. And then they say the government should step in and spend like $5 trillion on a plan that will hopefully lower the world temperature by 0.5 degree 3 centuries from now. And if you don't support giving all that money to that, you're a horrible person and you hate the environment and you're funded by big oil, stuff like that. And then there's me, who I don't get involved in all that stuff. I've not done the research, but I do not like to waste things. Like, that's just, it's not even so much an environmental issue as I just don't like, that bugs me, to waste things. I was the kid in middle school and elementary school that is probably going to have carpal tunnel syndrome in like 30 years because I used pencils all the way down to their last possible bit of lead. Like, they were so tiny. Teachers commented, like, how can you even hold that thing? There's nothing even to it. There's not even any wood. It's just a piece of graphite or something. But I was the guy that I don't like wasting things. Like, every time I have a plastic bag, I keep a bag of plastic bags, and I reuse the plastic bags whenever I can. The only time a plastic bag ever gets thrown away is if it's been used to the point where it can't be used anymore, or whatever. I'm using it to hold trash or something. I reuse everything that I can. I don't like to waste. And then apparently I'm a horrible person because I don't support massive government policies to heavily regulate, to spend a crazy amount of money on something that will have no effect on the environment 4 centuries from now. But no, it's stuff like that. Like, if you are truly wanting to help here, if you're truly concerned about what is happening and about all these extremists and the crazy stuff, you know what you can do? You know what you can do personally? You can get out of your echo chamber. Like, if you are in an echo chamber. And actually, this should tangent into another topic, a related topic, obviously, part of the larger topic of my whole thing with people and having opinions, because I have nothing against people having opinions on things. What I don't like are the people that have done no research on an incredibly complicated topic, and then they say, this is what I believe. If you disagree with me, you're wrong. It's like someone that doesn't do the research, and I'm not bashing people that don't take all this time doing research. Like, if you're someone that hasn't done the research, and then you're going out and saying, like, if you haven't done the research on, let's say, minimum wage law or anything, or the economic effects of minimum wage and all that, and you come out saying that anyone that opposes a $15 an hour minimum wage hates workers, or is an anti-worker extremist, as the union I'm forced to be a part of refers to me as. Not me specifically, but refers to people with my position. That's aggravating. And to clarify on what I just said earlier, I don't blame people for not doing the research if they don't have a hand in this fight, kind of thing. If there's someone that they're not interested in this stuff, they have their own opinions, because there's nothing wrong with that. You can have your own opinions on anything. I don't care. That's not a bad thing. Having an opinion on something is fine. It's just when you actually take action and you say other people that disagree with me are wrong, and I'm super confident on this, And like if you say this is my opinion and it's probably wrong because I haven't done the research, but this is what I think, then sure. Like if you want to tell people what you think, but you're fully aware that yeah, I could be wrong because I haven't done the research, that's fine. And if you're someone that doesn't want to go in depth and do all this research on philosophy and economics and that, I have nothing against that. In fact, if you're someone that isn't going to get involved in this, that's fine. Like if you're an engineer, I don't want engineers, or as in I'm okay that engineers are not spending all this time reading philosophy and economics to understand political issues, because when they're not doing that, they're learning engineering. They're being better engineers. Every second they spend reading Descartes or Aristotle or anything like that, every time they read that every second that they spend reading that is a second that they're not spending learning engineering. And I like living in a society with people that know engineering. And same thing with every industry, electricians, plumbers, all that stuff. Like, I'm glad that they're spending time on their thing. And that's great. But what I don't do is I don't go and say, yeah, these these electricians, man, like they're doing it all wrong. They're just I disagree with what they're doing here. I think anyone that doesn't want to do this way is a terrible person. And of course, like nobody even does that with non-political issues. They don't assume that someone that has a different method of doing things is evil. But yeah, like I don't go around and claim to be an expert on engineering or anything really, any of the trades kind of. I don't claim to be an expert. I have some knowledge, and I acknowledge that I know more than the average person on a lot of these things. But then when someone that obviously knows more than me says, "Hey, this is how you should do things," I'm like, "Okay, I know I'm not an expert. You're probably right." I mean, I'll ask questions obviously, because if something doesn't seem right, you want to ask questions. But yeah, that's how I operate with things, and nobody seems to take that when it comes to politics. Like, I don't go around and tell people how to do surgery. I don't criticize people saying, "No, this is how you do surgery," because I'm not a surgeon. I don't know how to do. Surgeons know how to do surgery. I don't blame people for not knowing how to do surgery. I just say, don't go around saying this is how you do surgery when you have no experience on that. And that, I think, is the overarching thing that people seem to be doing with Gab. They seem to be, I don't know if they probably never even used Gab, and that's the thing. Gab is a free site. You can make an account. It takes 10 seconds. It's like if you have a Twitter account. It's like that. People are going around criticizing Gab, and they've never used Gab. You know what? I'm not even saying use Gab for 10 seconds. I'm saying make an account, spend a day on Gab. I mean, not obviously 16 hours on your computer all day, but spend some time. Like, spend a week and check it maybe once a day or something. Spend a week, check it once a day for 10 minutes. And then comment on Gab. Like, if you don't like Gab, then say it then. But I'm tired of all these people that are just saying, yeah, anyone that disagrees with me, anyone that says they support free speech is an evil human being. Because I know that, like, the alt-right goes around and says, yeah, we support free speech. And I'm aware that the alt-right will turn on free speech if they ever got into power. They'd say, no. Like, Richard Spencer's even come out and said, yeah, free speech is, I don't support free speech. He even says that. I don't support free speech. Because, I forget what his exact words were, but it's not important. I did a video on it in the past. If you want to look on my channel somewhere, just search Richard Spencer does not support free speech or something. But yeah, that's like, I'm aware that the alt-right people, that as soon as they get into power, thank God they never will, I imagine, if they ever got into power, they would not support free speech. But there are tons of free speech activists out there that are opposed to the alt-right, like myself, that is like, yeah, we love free speech. Gab is like that. And I think that is the best way for a society to go about. Just let people talk. Let people talk. Obviously, like, you can tell them they're wrong. You can tell them they're awful. You can do whatever you want. But then going out and campaigning that they should be shut down is ridiculous. And saying that Gab is somehow responsible for this. Gab, like, the people going after Gab, I think, are more horrible on this issue than Gab is when it comes to the shooting. Because these people are going out and saying, like, oh, we need a no-platform radical extremist. We need to shove them into a corner, wait until they get mad, and then they're going to start shooting up places like this guy did. The last words of this guy was, screw your optics, I'm going in. Like, this guy was clearly a nutcase. And I'm going to wrap it up here because 20 minutes. Holy crap, this has gone on forever. Much longer. I don't even know if I can get this uploaded in time. Hopefully, I have to leave soon. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments if I'm totally wrong. But this was a very just off-the-cuff rant. I'm curious to see what people say in the comments. I'm interested. I'll read it, or I'll read them later today. But yeah, there's not much to say to that other than support Gab. If you're someone going out and saying things about this issue, about the shooter, I suppose the best thing you can do is at the very first just say, yeah, I condemn, because people were always like, yeah, this is a political issue and the right never condemns their extremists, and that it's not much of a political issue here. Like a guy shooting up a synagogue is not much of a political issue. We can all say that's wrong. But the issue is, how do we stop these extremists? And the people saying go after Gab is not how you do it. But yeah, wrap it up here. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like the video or audio. And yeah, thanks for watching.